Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's my horse. I am a Chinese horse. When his fast ended, Baba sent instructions to the women to send plain rice and dal, and some days later, curry and rice, as well as potato patties and chapatis. Mera helped Naja fry the patties, and they were taken to Baba. He ate them, but then dictated this message to Mera and Naja on his board. The patties were tasteless, hopeless, and dumbless, flat, lifeless. I don't, oh, I see.
How did
It's a
you
little
really
cut off.
feel,
It says
Baba?
in Gujarati, dumbless is an example of how Baba mixed Gujarati and English words together. Okay. Quote, we had been so proud of ourselves that we had made nice patties, and now you can imagine how our faces looked. We thought Baba would enjoy them and praise us by saying how delicious they were. Baba had been on a fast, so we hadn't put much seasoning in them. This is why he didn't find them tasty. The next day, we tried again. We made them spicier and better, and then he liked them. Baba had his meal near the door of the cabin. Without stepping out, Chum came and begged for a chapati. And the black cow also. When Baba gave the cow a chapati, Chum became jealous and chased it off. It happened every day, which gave Baba some amusement and lightened his burden. After a certain phase of his seclusion work was finished, Baba left the cabin, but only to walk near the tomb. He did not come and see the women, and they were not permitted to visit him. Baba, however, showed Mera that he was thinking of her. While walking by his cabin, he picked a few wildflowers and tied them with a blade of grass. The small bouquet was given to Walu with these instructions, quote, give these flowers to Mera. Tell her that these are my favorite wildflowers. Sweet. Walu brought it to Mera in her room. Mera was so pleased, she dried and kept them in a small box, which is still at Mehrabad. The wildflower known as Tantani has 5 white petals and a yellow center. Mera speculated that the 5 petals represent the 5 perfect masters, and the yellow center, the avatar. The sidebar says the flower, Tridex, let's see, procumbens, also known in some parts of the world as coat buttons, has no smell, but its stems can be mashed and used as an antiseptic. Let's see where. Yeah. Now that Baba was not in strict seclusion, he also wrote Mera a small poem in Gujarati of 4 to 6 lines by dictating it on the board and having one of the Mandali write it out. He gave it to Walu near the gate, telling her to give it to Mera, who was to reply in like manner in the form of a poem. Baba's lines were so lovely. It was a very pretty, sweet poem. I never wrote a letter to Baba, but I did write a few poems to him. For 1 or 2 days, these love messages went back and forth. Mehera, however, did not have these poems because she wrote her reply on the same sheet of paper, and when it was sent to Baba, he kept it. During August, Baba continued to suffer physically with more toothaches. On 19 August, a dentist was brought to Meherabad to extract two of Baba's heads cut off, maybe molars, I don't know. No, teeth. Extract two of Baba's teeth, which Gulnai and Pendu kept. Baba called the women and told them about it. Mehera felt so sorry for Baba that her eyes filled with tears. To comfort her, someone standing near to her said, "Why weep when a tooth is pulled? What is there to feel bad about? You don't have to cry over it." Baba commented, "She loves me. She feels for me. That is why she is crying. There's nothing wrong in that." Said Mehera, "Baba had very few teeth, and one by one they were coming out. Keeping silence was not good for the teeth. The mouth is shut all the time. Oxygen cannot reach the gums. Hitting his head on the stone when he was coming down to gross consciousness also had damaged the blood supply to his teeth and loosened some of them. In addition, Baba didn't take proper nutrition when he was young. Right after meeting Babajan, Baba became a vegetarian. He didn't have the right amount of food either. Oftentimes he skipped meals. When he was young and growing, when he should have had proper nutrition, he was eating only a small handful of rice and dal. That's why his health suffered. Yet, despite being a vegetarian for years and fasting so often, Baba was very quick in every way. He had a lot of vitality and energy. Less than a month after his tooth extractions, Baba came to the kitchen on 12 September, Duni Day, and sent for Mehera and Khorshid. They found him sitting on his table, and he asked Mehera, "Will you obey my orders always?" She replied that she would with all her heart. "Until the last, for as long as you live?" Baba asked. Mehera confirmed her pledge. Baba then asked, "Will you do anything I say?" And he explained that he wanted her to sign her name on his hand with her own blood. He told Khorshid to bring a needle, and she brought a small one. Baba instructed her to put denatured alcohol on it and to burn it to sterilize it. He asked Mehera for her right hand, and he pricked the middle finger with the needle. Blood spurted out. Baba extended his left forearm and told her to use her bloody finger to write the word Mehera on his arm. Baba stated, "You are the only one who is true to my love. Hold on to my Daman until the end." Baba told Mehera never to sign her name again, and he instructed Khorshid to keep the needle and to preserve it as something sacred. At one point, for many days, Baba was in the mood in the afternoons to sit outside by the kitchen under a shady arbor. The women sat near him on stools. Mera, Mani, Khorshid, Naja, Sunamasi, and Gulmai. The weather turned stormy on the 40th day of Baba's seclusion, August 23rd, and continued to be unsettled. But in the evenings, when it was pleasant out, he sometimes took the women for a walk. Occasionally, Mera held an umbrella over Baba to protect him from the sun, as she did later at Marazat. Mera said, I liked to hold the umbrella over Baba, but I had to stretch high as Baba was taller than me. I held it for some time and then someone else would do it. And as a sidebar says, Franny had come earlier. Whoops, my words are gone. And there is Eugene in his full glory. Eugene, did you just want a turn? I think you should have a turn. Eugene, fair is fair share, fair alike. Oh,
I'd love to take a turn, but I think somehow
what happened?
Somehow Tina has vacated the premises.
Oh, Tina, she said she was leaving early. She didn't say she was going to leave after she said that immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a magic trick because
really?
oh, she somehow made me the host before she left,
or
or it happened automatically or something.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Wow, man, when she does something, wow. No, she looked preoccupied.
Oh, yeah.
And then, wow, she was gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can wait a few minutes, and if she doesn't show up,
let's see if she.
yeah.
She's showing us her powers. Invisibility, just like Harry Potter. I have to say, when we were reading that Lord Meher, and I don't know, I'm getting more and more mischievous every day, and enjoying it. I'm just enjoying it. And I tell you, I'm so glad that Mara said to me one time, she said, Rosalie, you're mischievous. Just quickly said it to me one time. And she says, Baba was mischievous. So I tell you, because I didn't feel I was that mischievous before, but whoa, I tell you, I'm enjoying it. How were you raised? Were you raised in a certain religion? Were you or not?
No, not really, because like my parents being Polish were Catholics, but my mom left my dad and married my stepdad. And in those days, you got excommunicated if you
Right.
Yeah.
So are you the only sibling? Is there just
no, no. I have an older sister. Her name is Angie, Angela, and she's giving care to her demented husband. I guess he's been that way for a year or so,
wow.
where
I mean, I think that's always pretty horrible when your mind goes. I mean, you think it would be a blessing, but It's it's not. You know,
Well,
imagine
yeah,
if you're an author of books and all of a sudden you can't even find any words. I mean, whoa. Speak of the rug pulled out from under you. It's like having your tongue pulled out of your head.
yeah.
Wow. So how was your stepdad to get his stepdad in there? How was that for you?
Well, he was um
He was Polish too?
no, he was Ukrainian actually.
Ah, ah.
And uh he was a good guy, but um it- he kind of like when his own offspring, this is how I interpreted
Yeah.
it. And when his own offspring sprang, you know, when they were born, after they were born, my interpretation is, he became more um, uh, uh, what's the word? Greedy for them. What's the word?
Oh, he favored them more.
Save. That's it.
Yeah.
Favored them.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, he was very into it. Wow. I always think that's a bit like macho. You know what I mean? I created this. You know, and like wow. But you hear horror stories of step parents. So I always ask because uh, we had a wonderful. My mother's mother died. In fact, they were going to name me after her, Rose. I didn't like. I didn't want to be called Rose. I like roses, but I like my name, Rose. Thank God, my mother just. It was a movie. There was a movie, and my great uncle, who I loved, he was joyous. He worked at the racetrack, and they called him Dead Heat Harry, because when it was a question of what nose of the horse wins, he'd deliver the photograph to the paper, and he was really a character. And when he came to town, because he'd go seasonal, he'd be up in San Francisco at San Fran, and he'd come down to Santa Anita, then he was with us. We had a great time. He was a Leo, and he'd bring in fish and fresh vegetables. My mother had to cook, nothing out of the can. I just love Uncle Harry, and thank God for him. Yeah, wow, wow. I
I'm
still love
sorry.
sourdough bread.
I hear
Oh,
Tina.
there's someone came. Someone came. Oh
I
no,
got knocked off of the internet.
oh my gosh, Tina, we're waiting for you.
Yeah. I don't know what
Wow.
happened.
Oh, it was so weird.
Well, Tina, you made me host before you got knocked off. So
Oh, I did?
yeah, that's pretty fast. That's a pretty fast draw there.
I didn't know that.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what page we were on.
And the weird thing is, it's continuing to record.
Oh, no.
So we've been talking about our relatives, and all that is recorded.
Oh my
I beg
gosh.
your pardon. All listen, but
So-
we
sorry,
Rosalie and I beg
Angela.
your pardon.
Sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
I'm just trying to find where we were.
Wow.
308, 309. I guess I can't share the video.
Blood Oath. Blood Oath was on 307. And then the flower. I think we might at one point We might be
Eugene,
towards
can you
309.
make me host? Because,
You are host, darling. It went back to you.
oh, okay.
That's weird. Just it automatically went back to you. Sorry, listeners, for all the back and forth, but
Technical difficulties.
difficulties.
I
Okay.
think we're at the bottom of 310. Oh, wait, Baba never rode an elephant. That's good.
We didn't read 310 yet.
No, it's we're at an earlier page. Oh, here, I know we've read this. In addition, Baba didn't take proper nutrition when he was young. Tooth extractions, and then will you do anything I say? That was amazing. And then he made her sign
Write her name in
her,
blood.
yeah. And should we just start after that at one point?
Okay.
Yeah.
And that he told Khorshid to keep the needle and to preserve it as something
Yes,
sacred.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to go ahead, Eugene?
Oh, okay. But why don't you go ahead, Tina, since
Oh, that's right. You're leaving early.
At
well,
one
when
point,
Tina leaves, we all leave. So
at one point for many days, Baba was in the mood to sit in the afternoons, to sit outside the kitchen under a shady arbor. The women sat near him on stools. Mera, Mani, Khorshid, Naja, Sunamasi, and Gulmai. I can't read this sidebar. Franny had come earlier during seclusion, Baba's seclusion, and looked after Chum, but she was no longer present. The weather turned stormy on the 40th day of Baba's seclusion, August 23rd, and continued to be unsettled. But in the evenings, when it was pleasant out, he sometimes took the women for a walk. Occasionally, Mera held an umbrella over Baba to protect him from the sun, as she did later at Merazad. I liked to hold the umbrella over Baba, but I had to stretch high as Baba was taller than me. I held it for some time, then someone else would do it. Baba sat on a mound of earth behind Mehrabad with the 4 girls around him and admired the scenery and the sunset. Once or twice they saw a rainbow. There was no wall, no buildings around, just nothing. You could see only so far. You could see so far. Mehrabad always had the most beautiful sunsets, no sounds, only perhaps a shepherd in the distance. It was a different world. On the way back, Baba held Mera's hand and they walked together, hand in hand, back to her room. Baba once told Mera he would like to have a baby camel because of how sweet it looked when walking. But he never did get a baby camel in upper Mehrabad, but a tall white she donkey named Champa, white flower, was brought. He was the source of much amusement for Baba, especially with the men. Dr. Ghani, all the way from Lanavla, just went to hold the reins, and he instructed Gustaji to ride it. The donkey went backward and threw him off. Every week evening, the women took Champa on their walks with Baba behind the kitchen on the hill. Their servant Tani accompanied them so that she could take the donkey back while they continued their walk. Baba, we keep taking Champa with us, Mehera said once. Why don't you ride her? Baba had sat on Champa when she was first brought, but the women had not been present as there were men. Baba now agreed to sit on Champa the following day, and they eagerly looked forward to it. They prepared the donkey with a saddle, bridle, and harness. Baba walked with Champa for a while and then sat on her. He rode the donkey on 2 or 3 occasions, of which photos were taken by Mani. Baba never rode an elephant, said Mehera, but just like Jesus, he did ride a lovely white donkey. Baba looked very beautiful. His hair was in a braid and we wanted his hair open. So before Mani took the picture, I quickly opened Baba's hair. That is why the hair is a little stuck together in the photo. On the Hindu festival of Dussehra, not only was Baba garlanded, but traditional flowers were put around Champa's neck and Chum's too. Diwali was celebrated at Meherabad only a few times before the Westerners came, and it was always a joyous time for the women. On that day in 1935, they lit sparklers and firecrackers in front of Baba's seclusion cabin on the hill. Mani pointed out that she and Khorshid had to trade off taking photos. It would have been nice if we all could have been in the picture at the same time. Mani reflected, but we were so alone on the hill. There was simply no one else we could ask to snap the picture. Baba was so excited, Mehera recalled. He loved firecrackers so much, just like a child. The skyrockets were his favorite. He would he would himself light them and watch them shoot so high they would explode. Baba would be delighted. Did you see that one? He would ask how high it went. Come on, let's do another one. Weather conditions at Meherabad continued to be stormy. So Baba went to Tiger Valley, Panchgani, to conclude his seclusion on October 14th. But
to continue his seclusion.
Oh, what did I say?
Conclude. I think you said conclude.
Oh, okay. Continue his seclusion on 14th October. But there too, the weather was inclement, and Baba was forced to return to Meherabad to continue his work. He took another break on 3rd December to go to Nasik for 2 days, but did not end his seclusion there until December 14th. On his way to Nasik, Baba stopped for lunch at the home of one of his followers, Waman Subnis, and met his daughter Indu, 16. Baba told her that he and the woman Mandali would soon be going to Mysore and asked would she like to come. Baba persuaded her with inducements she would find hard to resist. Mani will teach you how to speak English and to play the harmonium, he promised, and Khorshid will teach you embroidery. I need to take a bathroom break. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Talk among yourselves.
This is quite, by the way, Eugene, this is my anniversary of first coming to the Meher Baba Center. It was November 16th. It was actually the birthday of someone that was instrumental in sharing Baba with me. That I don't know whatever happened to him, but anyway, it's been a really funny day, including this happening. I mean, it's been interesting. Sometimes the energy is just kind of whimsical.
So that was November 16th,
Yeah,
1967,
1971.
1971.
And I've been here in Myrtle Beach. It's just ludicrous. I'm a South Carolinian. I mean, really, the only thing I can say, the other day I almost got in trouble. I thought on Silence Day, I was keeping silent, and it was 2015, and they took down the Civil War flag, and I was miming celebration silently. Well, I was mentioning it, and there was a Southerner there, and I was astounded. She says, "But that's our heritage." And I went, "Oh, how sad." How could a Civil War be a heritage? I mean, it was just sad from my mind. It popped out of my mouth. How sad. I'm sorry.
Well, Anita Villard used to tell Baba jokes.
Yeah.
And she had a good sense of humor, I guess.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Once she, Baba had a cough, and she said to him, "That's what you get for talking so much."
That's funny. I bought that book that's called It's You. It's all about the early days at Harmon on Hudson. It was an expensive book, but you and a couple other Babalas helped me buy it. I had to buy it because when she met Baba, she said, "It's you." And she started laughing. And I thought, I just got such a kick out of it. It's you, like, oh, it's you.
Yeah, well, she said to him, "That's what you get for talking so much," and
Oh, that's funny. No, she could make him laugh. And when I was in Paris, I went to her art. She had an art exhibit, and I was feeling very depressed in Paris. Anyway, I walked towards her, and I felt Baba so strongly. I don't remember the art exhibit.
Wow.
I mean, strongly. And I had not been feeling Baba at all. So it was pretty astounding.
Well, would you like to pick up? Who would like to pick up?
I'll take a turn.
Okay.
Indu enjoyed seeing new places and happily agreed. She returned with Baba to Meherabad, and all were surprised at the newcomer in their midst. Baba told Indu she was to eat with the women, so they went to the kitchen for supper. While they were eating, Mehera asked Indu, "Can you sing?" And then immediately thought that this was a silly question, since how could she sing when she was eating? But Indu said yes, stopped eating, and sang so beautifully and with so much fervor that everyone else stopped eating too. It was a touching song about beloved God, and in which it says, I have come to your garden to collect flowers for you. Please accept them from my
Wow.
humble hands.
Wow.
During this period, while Baba was making these short trips, many of his close followers also changed their abodes. Daulat Mai had moved back to Meherabad and was living alone in the family quarters near Arangaon village, where Baba visited occasionally after his seclusion was over. Daulat Mai's sister, Fraini Masi, moved from Pune to Bombay. And is this the Franny that we've been reading had like mental depression problems?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's a different Franny. Okay.
I don't know. I'm thinking, what was Mara's sister's name?
That was Franny also.
Franny.
All
Okay.
right.
It
Yeah.
was.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it could be the aunt or the sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bubba's mother, with her sons Adi Jr., Jal Baram, and his wife Perrin, moved there in November. Baba went to Bombay for a week in mid-December to visit his mother and to hold a darshan program. Back at Meherabad for Christmas, the celebration was simple with a bit of decoration and the cooking of something sweet. Baba wore a new sadra or coat that day, and songs were sung, Mehera said. But Baba would go down the hill and spend most of his time. Could you scroll, please, Tina?
Oh, sorry.
Spent most of his time with the Mandali. Mehera's sister Franny was in Nasik with her children, but at times became. Oh, here's the answer.
Yeah.
But at times became emotionally unstable. In September of the previous year, since Rustam was busy doing Baba's work, Baba himself had to go to Nasik to enroll their children in boarding school. He always kept an eye on the children's welfare, and they visited Baba regularly on their holidays. In the early days, when Baba was younger and intensely active, Meru said, he often visited our home unannounced. In such an informal and natural way, he mingled with our family, taking interest in every aspect of our lives, giving us the blessing of his personal presence in our home. Many families in India have this joyous memory of Baba being with them as a part of their family. Franny was one of the few allowed to stay at Upper Meherabad and was often a great help, especially when anyone was seriously ill and needed nursing. She was called when Walu had cholera, for example, and again when Khorshed's finger became septic.
Uh,
One summer, when Baba wanted Franny to be on the hill, all 5 of her children stayed with Daulat Mai at the family quarters. The children were not permitted to cross the railway tracks. However, Franny visited them every other day and then returned up the hill. One of her sons, Baram, being too young to go to school, stayed with Daulat Mai whenever Franny was on the hill and became Daulat Mai's favorite grandson. Daulat Mai cooked delicious meals and made wonderful cakes and desserts. Meru fondly recalled about her grandmother, especially bread pudding. But we often argued that she gave Baram a larger share of dessert. Well, he deserved it. He's a boy. Ever since Meru was that's how they thought in those days. Yeah. Ever since Meru was 4 or 5, whenever Baba visited, he asked her in Franny's presence what she wanted to do with her life. Meru always told Baba, I want to be like the others, women Mandalay, and serve you. Baba was pleased, and Franey too seemed happy with her daughter's response and never discouraged her. Baba then asked, whom do you love most in the whole world? You, Baba, was Meru's enthusiastic and definite reply. How much do you love me? Just a little bit? No, a lot. How much? Meru spread her arms as wide as she could. Baba beamed with pleasure and embraced her heartily.
Mm.
For his work, Baba had decided to move everyone to South India. On 30 January 1936, he left Meherabad for Mysore with the women Mandalay. Mehera, Mani, Khorshid, Naja, Sunamasi, Walu, and Indu Subnis. Gulmai and Dolly were in Kushru quarters, Daulatmai in the family quarters, and Franey and Nasik with her children, none too happy about being left out. Baba and the women traveled first to Pune by bus and from there to Mysore by train. Since the men Mandalay were not to come near the women, at the Pune railway station, Baba himself carried some of the women's luggage to the compartment reserved for them. Mani had been told to carry the BB gun with her, and on the bus, she had to carry her sitar also. The amount of care and trouble taken whenever Baba traveled with the women's group can be seen from these notes in Chanji's diary. Baba and Anderna, meaning inside ladies, arrive Pune from Nagar by bus. Ladies get in the reserved carriage, the shift of luggage from one compartment to another by Baba himself helping from outside, as nobody is to go near the ladies. At Pune and also at other stations en route, the peculiar scene attracting attention of passengers. Instructions to Chagan and Chanji to be on the platform at each halt, to be ready for the call from Baba whenever given. The reserved carriage being attached in the extreme rear was quite secluded as desired, and the party proceeded south. The change at Arsakiri, the shifting of the NSM railway line to Mysore train required a dozen coolies for immediate shift. Half a dozen of the station staffs supervised with a guard. There was a regular parade of the whole station staff for the removal of the heavy baggages, which brought their breath out. The reserved carriage pushed by the coolies to the other line, with Baba and Andernas inside. A peculiar situation and a sight. The station master, on being informed that there were ladies in the reserved carriage, kept himself at a distance. Arrangements were also made to shift the carriage to a siding in the outside yard, where the ladies took to the bus standing nearby and drove straight through the private gate of the bungalow. The removal of the luggage from the train to trolley and then to bungalow was managed with tact and care, and we settled quietly in our respective bungalows by 9 o'clock. Mani had the duty of serving as one of Mehera's quote unquote bodyguards, and here is her description of the same journey. When we went to Mysore, Mehera was not to see any man. I was to be her eyes, to be her voice. I had that role. I had my own restrictions too. I mustn't talk to a man or touch a man. but I could see them. Mehera had on glasses papered over inside to look like dark glasses. She couldn't see. Inside the train, she didn't have to wear them, only when getting down. She was holding on to my arm. We stood on a railway station platform. Baba had told us to wait there. Stay here. Don't move from there, he said. Coming back in a minute. A train pulled in and stopped right in front of us. The slatted blinds of the first class compartment were pulled down, so we were all right. There we stood, Mehera with brown papered glasses, arm in arm with me, under my right arm, the BB gun, and a solar toupee, solar toupee on my head. We lived most economically, so we were not wearing such good clothes. My best dress was so outdated. It was a longish outfit, not in fashion at the time at all, like something a missionary would wear. Suddenly, one of the blinds in the first class train compartment opened. A red-faced British officer with a big mustache poked his head out and asked, I say, do you know what time it is?
I like the accent.
Pardon me, have you any Grey Poupon? I looked at him and couldn't believe this was happening. I couldn't help looking at him, but I couldn't talk to him. I must have looked so scared. I just looked down. He thought I hadn't heard. I say, all I want to know is the time, he repeated a bit louder. Can you tell me what time it is? That's all I'm asking. Again, I looked up like a fascinated rabbit. Nervously, I held Mehera tightly. I couldn't speak. I got really red, and his white mustache bristled. Young lady, all I wanted to know was the time. And he slammed the window shut. I sighed in relief, but I was young enough to wonder and worry over what he would think about me. He will think I don't know English, but I do. Maybe he'll think we're Jungle Indians. Just then, Baba came. We never told him. What's a Jungle Indian? I guess an illiterate one. Huh?
Yeah.
So after a 2-day journey, they arrived in Mysore, where the women were still kept sequestered in the rented bungalow. Mani continued. When we went to Mysore, we hadn't the least inkling of what the house was called, where it was located, anything. It was as if the same cloistered discipline and atmosphere of Upper Meherabad was simply carried over to Mysore, as if we had been picked up and carried through the air and taken there. Their bungalow at Vani Vilas Mohalla belonged to a wealthy judge, but was unfurnished except for a life-size portrait of the Hindu goddess Saraswati in the middle room. In another room was a large, flat, wooden swing on which 4 people could sit. Oh, good idea. Baba never sat on the swing, but Indu sat on it after her bath and sang beautifully. Other rented furniture was procured. So here we are at the top of 314. We can do it next week, right, Teen and Ro?
I guess so.
Because I think it's...
I thought you were leaving early, Tina.
Yeah, I am leaving early, but not this early. But
oh, is it super early?
It's 7 minutes to 3.
Okay, I'll stop here. So this is 314.
Uh,